Are you surprised or unsurprised that these moves took place? I mean, you were obviously talking about the dissension in there, but man, holy smokes! 3 days later,
yeah, exactly.
What do you got for me on that?
I'm surprised at the scope of it and the dramatic effect, I guess, and the quickness of it. The part that I guess isn't surprising is that to me it's funny. When you write these kinds of stories, and obviously folks like Mark are not happy that this stuff gets out, there becomes a bit of a witch hunt to figure out, hey, where did this come from? And there's part of me that, this is one of those where you look at it as a reporter and you say, okay, this was coming from everywhere. It was so widespread, so widely known, just not out publicly yet, that I think is reflective of the moves that have been made since and the ripple effect of it. Now, the timeline here, Rich, is fascinating too, though, because admittedly, when we dropped the story Monday morning, what we've learned since then is that Donnie Nelson had already been fired. He just hadn't told anybody. And so, on the media side of things, it's a funny timeline there. But listen, there's a bigger story here about, Mark's decision to bring a professional gambler into his culture, and that bothered a lot of people, and then it only got worse from there.
So let's get into that part for those who might not have read your piece. And again, the piece in The Athletic that you co-wrote with Tim Cato. Inside the Mavericks front office, Mark Cuban's shadow GM is causing a rift with Luka Doncic. That was the headline. Put a few more meat on the bones right there. A professional gambler is brought into the front office of the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, so back in 2018 is when formally Bob Voulgaris is working with the Mavs, but by his own contention, he had essentially a freelance relationship before that. So he's worked with them for quite some time. And our understanding is that if you go back all the way to that time, kind of the mid-20 teens, you have Mavericks employees that understandably are looking sideways at this hire. And this, I think, again, you've seen the NBA get cozier and cozier with the gambling industry. This was kind of a sign that it was trending in that direction anyway. But nonetheless, you have all these basketball folks that think that's a complicated, controversial fit. But then, more importantly, it's the combination of Bob's personality, Bob's style, the fact that he had a direct line to Cuban, the fact that folks like Donnie Nelson, who had been there for a very long time, over time came to the conclusion that they didn't have the juice that they had before, and that certain moves that they wanted to happen weren't happening because Voulgaris was advising differently. And it starts at Donnie and it goes all the way down through their front office and the scouting department. And these frustrations grew and grew and kind of obviously came to a head a couple days ago.
Well, Cuban, when you asked him about Voulgaris and his involvement in the piece, he was quoted, "I really like what Bob brings to the table. He does a great job of supporting Rick and the front office with unique data insights," and added that Bob has a great grasp of AI, and that's not Allen Iverson, and the opportunities it creates for gaining an advantage, which is important to me, but he isn't any more influential than any other data source on the team. That was the quote Cuban gave you for your piece. The quote he had about your piece when he retweeted it on Twitter was total BS.
Right.
How do you square those comments?
It's funny, Rich, I've been asked a lot, quite a few times the past couple of days about the reaction to that. I mean, part of it, I know Mark pretty well. And on this one, the way we work at our company is Tim Cato is our beat writer. And so in this instance, he interfaced with Mark, directly, but I've dealt with Mark for a decade plus, and I like Mark.
Yeah.
I shrugged when I saw the tweet. I mean, my first feeling was essentially that it was performance theater, and it's kind of what he has to say. Little did I know. I mean, listen, we say all the time on social media that certain tweets, didn't hold up very well. That one didn't hold up very well. And, you see everything has been exposed the past couple of days, just how wrought with issues they were internally. So it's fine. I get it. But obviously stand by and feel very good about the reporting. And again, we've seen what's happened since.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.